the gridiron, the diamond, and hallowed grounds. These are the stages where the games and competitions of our passions are played. But the past year has changed the world completely and tested the human capacity to endure, to grow, and to thrive. These are the stories of the Mount Zack student athletes who face these challenges head on. These are the stories of the unlimited.
In the beginning, I was forced into it, really. I started playing basketball in the 6th grade because my mom told me that I was too tall to not be in basketball. So really, I was just forced to play it. I didn't like it for the first year. And then I started liking it maybe in 7th grade. And I didn't start taking it really seriously until junior year of high school. And I played my senior year, and that's when we won CIF.
I mean, all I can think about when I was younger is me and my dad going out to the park in front of our house and working on anything related to basketball, and that's really what got my dedication going, got me wanting to be better, and it really worked for me. And that's still something when I go home now, I always go to the hoop, and me and my dad work out there, so it's just something that always stuck with me. All 4 years of high school, I played and started my freshman year. I had a great freshman year, and then my sophomore year, right the weekend before I started school, I tore my ACL, so I ended up not playing that whole season, and that itself was a big learning experience, a big growing experience for me. That's the first time I had to really step back and take a different perspective of the game from the sideline, and that's something I've never had to do before. And I learned a lot how to be grateful for what I have, be grateful for being just the game of basketball itself. I think took advantage before. I'm younger, I just thought I can just hoop whenever. I just really took advantage of the game, and then after that it's really changed my life. And then my senior year, I ended up tearing my ACL again on my senior night, and that was very devastating for me, but I'm happy it happened, honestly, because I would not be where I am right now today if that didn't happen.
I had the option to go to Westmont College also in Santa Barbara, and I also had the option to go to a different JC. And I was also considering just stop playing, just because a lot had happened that year to where I just felt unmotivated to play again. I was asking for a lot of signs to know whether or not I should play again. So this was I graduated the year 2019. My mom had passed away during my senior year of basketball. So I felt and she was the reason why I started to play. So I felt as if that reason has I felt like it was gone. I just realized that she'd want me to play, and me not, because my biggest fear is wasted potential, me not really reaching my full potential. And I know that I could, even to this day, I know I could be way better than what I am.
Yes, I'm Coach Zack Hope with women's basketball, assistant coach at Mount Zack. Just being an athlete, I kind of gravitated to the coaching side just because I picked it up and I understood it. So I was able to explain things. So it went from explaining movements and motions in the weight room to get stronger for basketball moves to I understood the X's and O's, and I was able to explain on the back end extra in the weight room. So, if they were struggling in practice, hey, coach, can you explain this to me? It's like, oh yeah, this is easy. You do X, Y, and Z. And they're like, oh, it makes sense like that. I'm just like, yeah, when you're not running around trying to figure it out and somebody can break it down for you in the smallest form, it's a little bit easier. So it was more of a redemption year, right? We went to 6 straight tournaments, and then we missed the last 2 by a couple of points each year. And so we had a mentality where we were just trying to get back and, probably, try to win that thing.
I mean, obviously that's always a goal of ours as a team. It's not necessarily we're hoping, it's we're gonna be there. That's always what we're working towards. But as a team, that's nothing I've experienced before, so I didn't know what that felt like. but I knew our team was special. We all got along very, very well. So I knew it was something special to be a part of, and we were going to do special things.
We had a trip. We had a team trip, a team getaway to Palm Springs at the beginning of our season. And our coaches took us away, and we stayed in a hotel with each other, and we did team building exercises. And like before that, you'd ask me, I did not think that any connection, no chemistry, I didn't think anything. Like we were very like pulled away from each other. Like we didn't have any connection at all. But then after that trip, because our coach had us do this, he made us put like something about us that no one knows, and he made us write it on a piece of paper and put it in a box. And the game, he had us do it at night, and we were all sitting in a circle, and if we pulled, like he would pull that person's card and he'd read it out loud, like what they said, like something serious or whatever, and the team gets to choose like who they thought it was. You get like 3 chances to choose who it was, and it'd be like something deep, and like that's when you learn everything about your teammates, and that they're not like you got to know them on a deeper level. And some people said stuff where you're like, whoa, I didn't know you were going through that. And like that right there, I think that's what binded us, is that we're not all so different, that we all have like not the same stories, but like the same experiences. And yeah, that's what binded us all together. Yeah, and that's when we realized we actually liked each other. We started hanging out more as in groups, and yeah, it was really fun.
Get this news, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Some of the athletes knew before we knew as coaches. Some of the athletes knew before her parents knew. So they're devastated, and it's really one of those issues where, as a coach, what do you say? Like, what happens? Like, how do you console someone when you're breaking down yourself?
It was really weird. I was about to fall asleep. It was 3 o'clock in the morning on November 19th, and Mina called me, and she was crying, and she told me like that Kaya died, and I was in shock, so I couldn't really respond to her. And then we called our teammates and we told them, and didn't sleep at all that entire day. Like, did not go back to sleep. We all realized that we needed each other. We all dealt with it within each other. Like, we shared memories of Kaya. We would laugh because we all had videos of her. We all had videos together. We all laughed at how crazy she was. It was really tough. It's still tough, like, to this day. But if anything, it brought, like, that sealed us. Like, that brought us way closer than ever.
Who Kaya was, what she represented. She was just a light bulb. Like, she had a ball of energy. Sometimes we couldn't figure out where it came from, but now we get it, right? In retrospect, she was just a light. She'll live forever, She, in Mount Sack's gym, Mount Sack's world, in our community, she was a staple, and that's how we're gonna remember her.
The actual tipping point of me, like, whoa, we're really good, is when we beat Long Beach 3 times, and also when we beat Delta. We're the only team to beat them throughout the whole entire season. That's when I realized that we were good. That's when I realized that that no one could really beat us unless we let them.
That journey was such an honor to be a part of, right? Restoring glory is always a great day. You remember the losses more than you remember the wins. And we had a couple of tough losses, but they grew from those, and it put us in a position to be at the tournament. Taylor was she was the older person, right? As young as she is, people relied on her for wisdom. She was the college student whisperer, as far as I'm concerned. Taylor's like, if I could do it, you could do it. Like, I torn my ACL before. Like, you got to be able to move this way. And, just the grit. She's a gritty kid. Like, you want to talk about somebody that plays through anything, that's Taylor. Taylor played through an injury. We're like, no, Taylor, sit down. No, I got it. Just give me some tape and some bubble gum. We were like, what? Like, what's that going to do? And she's like, I just want to play. It's like, yeah, but we don't want your career to be bad. If I'm going to lose my career over an injury, I want to lose it here. We're like, well, you're dedicated. You're a Mountie for real. Like, we get it. We understand exactly your plight in that. So Skylarr literally has an X factor. She was one of the few kids that we brought in that had championship experience already. So she knows what it's like to climb that mountaintop. This is the kid that you don't have to try to persuade to be good. She just naturally wants to be good, put in the extra time. I love dealing with kids that you got to tell to calm down a little bit versus the ones that you got to try to motivate more so than not, right? So Skylarr wants to get better. So Skylarr is like, what's the next thing that I can do? What's the next thing that I can do? And so she's constantly stacking bricks to make herself one of the top prospects leaving JUCO this year.
For me, I felt like we were good enough to win state, definitely. We were the most experienced team, we were the most ready. So I think we could have definitely won a state championship.
There's no doubt in my mind. Like, no doubt at all.
Absolutely. Because we came in every day and we won, right? We made it back to familiar ground for a Mount Sac women's basketball team.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. We were in the hotel room. Everyone had been getting taped and stuff, getting warmed up. We were supposed to meet in the lobby to get on the bus. And we're all in the lobby, and Coach Brian comes to us and he has to tell us something. And we're like, why is he trying to tell us something?
Now getting ready to load the buses, and we're getting ready to pull off to the stadium after a 6 a.m. walkthrough at the facility. And, as we're on the bus and getting ready to pull off, we get the phone call.
Getting ready. Our game was in an hour. We got dressed, we put on our sweatsuits. We all walked out into the lobby of the hotel. We had our bags. We're about to load the truck, and then Coach B stopped us and told us to sit down. And we knew, it was terrible. He was like, sit down, I have to talk to you guys. And he told us literally right before we got on the bus to go play in our game.
Tells us that they canceled the whole state tournament. I was like, what? Like, for real? He was like, yeah, they canceled the whole state tournament because of COVID. We're going home, basically, and the season. I was like, so the season's over?
He said that it's canceled, straight up, no question about it.
So it was just very devastating. And then after that, we all went kind of our separate ways, and we were bawling our eyes out. I really couldn't believe it was over.
Everything you've worked hard for, especially as an athlete, is it's gone and it's out of your control. As an athlete, being taken out of that, if it was a regular game, might not have been as emotional, might not have hurt as much. It probably still would have sucked, but we felt very strongly going into the tournament that we had started clicking and figuring everything out on that level of success.
This was the past setup for us to win the championship, and then to feel all that hype and then for it to be taken away it was just kind of a ridiculous thing, because it's nothing that anyone has ever experienced. I mean, I still I think about it sometimes, when I'm in the shower or whatever, I'm like, dang, I really should have competed in the state championship. I got there and it just was taken from me. And for me, it just felt like I didn't get to finish a season again. It felt like what happened to me when I tore my ACL. It felt like the game was just taken.
As a sophomore, you saw what it was like to not make it and the exhilaration to make it. Keep using that energy to going forward. Things are going to still go wrong. Things are still going to happen. We're dealing with a pandemic. We don't know when it's going to end, but you got to keep fighting. And every day you got to take a step towards your glory in it. It's unfortunate, but you got to keep fighting.
Come to the reality that I'm okay with ending with a win, even if that was without the tournament. We ended up on top. We ended up with the win the last game of our season. So for me, it ended up more positive.
The only thing that brought me peace, I can't speak for the sophomores, because mainly we were hurt for the sophomores because that was their last chance and they got so close to it. But for me personally, I was like, we're going to get it back for them next year. And that we're going to win for them next year, for the team that wasn't, the team that it got stripped away from. That's the only reason, we pulled back from it, because we knew that we would win it the next year.
I definitely am happy that we got to cut the nets down at SAC. That was one of the best experiences of my life that I will cherish. I still have the net in my room. I'm glad we all got to experience that. I'm glad we felt because in that moment, it really felt like we had won. Even if we knew we were going to go to the next round, but in that moment, it just felt so good since SAC hadn't been to the state tournament in 2 years, I think. And so for us to do that, for us to win conference, for us to be the team to bring us back to state, it just felt so good. I think that as far as things were handled, I think it was just hard, because I felt like if people just there was hope for me that if people just stayed in for 2 weeks, they would try to put on state tournament again, we would be able to play. I understand the circumstances, but I just wish that everyone took it seriously so it wouldn't have lasted so long. now we're almost a year later, As far as 2020, like, sometimes part of me, like the young adult in me, is tired of experiencing so many historic moments. But it's also cool. But I'm just tired of all these firsts happening while I'm only 20 years old,
I miss the energy of playing basketball at Mount Sac. I miss the coaches. I miss my teammates. I miss the funny parts of practice. Like, God, I even miss conditioning. I miss all of it. I probably I wouldn't say that I took it for granted. It's just like you always feel like that team, like I know I'll never get that exact team back. It was just, I'd say like I wish I soaked it up more, like I admired, like took more in of that situation. But I think that's also like my reason for playing again.
I go to Park University now. It's in Parkville, Missouri. It's northwest Kansas City area. It's very, very nice. Nice little town. It's not like too small town. It's kind of just in the suburbs. Now I'm studying fitness and wellness, which is also known as kinesiology, and I want to get my bachelor's degree in this major and then apply to physical therapy school, where I can then start my career as a physical therapist and help people who help me.
I just want to get a good offer and get my bachelor's, and then after I get my bachelor's, I'm going to be done with basketball after that, and then transfer and get my law degree.
You can definitely be as successful as you want to be at Mount Sac, and that's what was always put into me, because I would go to practice every day and see the success around me on the banners and people who got where they wanted to be. So that's always something that was in my head during practice. Like, I need to be better for the alumni. I need to be better for the coaches. I need to be better for the team. So I would just put we before me.
You gotta get it. We gotta get it. I gotta get it. On a mission, I got a plan. I gotta get it. Time to be a man. On a mission, I got a plan. I gotta get it.
Maybe I should just go to school and like, can we pause? It went off again. I realized, I think our first game was against, oh my God, this freaking term. So I was, after touring Sac, there was no question in my mind after. It's going off again. It has not gone off all day.